Okay. Amazing. Okay, Brill. Have we had a session before?
No.
Okay. I was like, I don't recognize that face. I mean, I do, but I don't remember us having a session. So that's okay. That's fine. Okay. So this is your first of two, is it?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Brill. Let me just do a little bit of housekeeping and then we'll dig in. So we've got an hour together today. You can use it to do whatever you want with me, like within reason. Talk about whatever feels right and whatever's going to be helpful to you. It can be helpful for you to have an idea what you want to get out of our time together, but we can dig into that. Advice I give you today will be based on the knowledge that you know that I'm not a solicitor and I'm not a medical professional. I'll send you a recording. I won't share anything you say to me with anyone else, either identifying you or otherwise, unless I need to or you ask me to. The exception to that rule would be if there's a safeguarding concern, and my kind of like trigger for that is Kate is my safeguarding lead, so I'd speak to Kate first. But that would only be if I felt that a child, young person, or a vulnerable adult was in immediate danger. It's never happened, but just to let you know. That okay?
Yeah, that's all fine.
Perfect. If I'm going too fast or you need me to do anything to make it more accessible for you, just say. Because I do get like a bit blah, blah, blah. Right. So do you know what you want to get out of our time together today?
Do I know? I mean, I think I have kind of three sort of general areas that I'm interested in chatting with you about. One of which is let's see. I have notes on my phone. So one of which is around kind of the situation that I've got in work where I'm running a neurodiversity, diversity and inclusion group, or DEI group, and kind of issues I found there, because it sounds like it. Don't worry, it will make sense, I think. And then another, and kind of way forward, and any kind of ideas and whatnot. Another thing that would be nice to talk through is kind of my my son's education.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
And kind of the various, I'm quite anxious about what's coming up with that. But I can get into that as well. And then I guess just in general, some kind of coping a kind of a coping discussion about because I am getting to, well, I am burned out, but I'm not like to the level of burnout where I'm not able to work, but like,
yeah.
you know how there's like levels.
I do know how there's levels, yeah. And you're in that place where it looks like you're still doing okay, but you know that you're not, and that potentially you're heading for a bit of a crash if you don't think about some things to support you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just keep kind of hurling myself back into things, and I like, I've noticed that I find it harder to talk. I find it harder to keep up in conversations and like do auditory processing. I'm finding it harder to, like, because I'm finding those things harder, it's harder to socialize. So I'm not like having connections as much with friends or anything like that. But also, you know, I don't have a ton of time, but like, because I'm,
1
I mean,
second.
my
Sorry,
son
1 minute. I'm
is,
just getting interrupted. 1 minute. What's the matter? I'm on a
that's okay.
call. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. My son needs quite a lot of intensive supervision.
Okay.
I mean, like last night, in the middle of the night, like he he woke up dirty and he like was smearing his bed, like a lot of close supervision. He has got a bit better since we kind of got over the school. Well, we didn't get over it, but like the school trauma, as he's been kind of starting to trust adults more, like us and everything. He's a little bit like some of the behaviors that he'd kind of started to use to show that he was not doing well, like Pika, are not quite as bad as they had been. So like I say intensive supervision, but now like I can leave the room for like 15 seconds and he's not going to start trying to eat the chips of paint off the windowsill.
Okay.
You know?
So still high levels of support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
all right. That's a lot. We might not get through all of that in one call, but let's see.
that's okay.
What do you want to start with? What do you feel like would be, yeah, you tell me what you want to start with.
Well, maybe talking through the school stuff, because I think that you've got a good a very good understanding of kind of where we're at, I guess, without me having given like lots of context. But
okay, cool. So what have you got in place, or what is currently happening for you as a family with regards to, what's your child called?
Felix.
My nephew's called Felix. And does Felix use he, him pronouns?
Yes, he does.
Okay, cool. So what's the situation?
For now, we're not sure. Like at one point, actually, I must say, you remember, I don't know if they do this everywhere in England, but you know when they're like 2 years old and you're supposed to run through certain questions with them to see if they're able to like answer. And one of them was, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And he said, "Girl." And I said, "Okay." And then I switched the two because sometimes he just says the last one. I said, "Girl or boy?" He said, "Girl." And I said, "Okay." And I was like, "We're going to revisit this later." So
interesting. Well, let's just see what he lets us know when he lets us know, if he lets us know. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And he's starting to get more communicative again, but so fingers crossed, you know, that I don't want to like be misgendering him for any longer than I have to
Sure, of course.
He's she.
So now we'll go with he, him until he lets us know
Yeah.
otherwise. Okay. And how old is he?
He's 8.
Okay. And not currently in school?
No. So
what's the situation there? What have you got going on there?
So we had quite a bad situation with the school. It was mainstream, and we ended up raising a safeguarding complaint. He wouldn't use the toilet anymore. Like even at home, he wouldn't undress for swimming or gymnastics. And we had witnesses who saw people at school dragging him, like 2 adults. He's hypermobile, so like that can cause injuries that aren't maybe less obvious, but can be a big problem. And also his one-to-one said to a carer who was working with him for us, that they were barricading him into the loos at school. So he stopped talking, he stopped toileting, he stopped sleeping, and he couldn't enjoy anything. Like it was just like, so we pulled him out. Like as soon as he stopped being willing to undress or use the home toilet, like, and with everything else we'd saw, so we'd seen. Anyway, so I can keep going, but I'm not going to on that. But basically we kept him home. They said, "You're choosing to keep him home." We said, "He's too unwell to come into school." They said, "Nah, is he really?" And we went to a GP and got a letter, and they left us alone until we sent in the request for the tribunal. At which point, like immediately afterwards, it was like, harass harass, like try and get this family to drop things basically and just comply. So we got another GP letter. I got a lawyer to write a letter for us. I mean, I guess we have some things working in our favor in that, like, we can manage the occasional thing like that. Managing a lawyer for the tribunal is very, very expensive. Um, we've got somebody who will represent us on the day, though, because we were like, do you know what? Just we can't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at with that. But where was I going with that? So we hired a one-to-one for him in August of last year. And then we were just paying for that. Just like we were just,
Self-funding that.
yeah, we were self-funding in the spring as well, and also taking time off work ourselves because we only had somebody who could do like a couple days a week. And he wasn't in a place to be learning anyway, like he was not okay. And he wasn't in a place to just be kind of playing happily either. Like it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah. Very distressed. So he's had a one-to-one since August of last year. And then we found the amazing Shannon. She is so amazing. Who is an ex-Senko who got fed up with the system, and she's a qualified teacher, and she runs a forest school for neurodivergent kids.
Amazing.
It's like 1 day a week in South London. She's fantastic. And so he started going to that forest school, and he went with his one-to-one, and like that really was helping him a lot. And it was kind of his only time that he was around other kids, and it was a nice small group, and they were all very kind to him. And then I had a breakthrough with the council people, the local authority, in like December, where I managed to get a call with the interim head of tribunal that our local parents forum put me in touch with. And so she ended up working out a personal budget, which was way too low. And then I have been gradually like, and you're going to pay for this, and you're going to pay more for this because you can't pay £10 an hour for a one-to-one. This isn't a fast food job, you know? So we're still self-funding part of it. Like
Okay.
they said, we won't pay for swimming because he gets plenty of exercise. He's outside already. Like, really? They're like, we won't pay for OT because, you know, we don't have anything in his EHCP that says he needs OT. And I was like, well, I have an assessment right here that says he needs OT. And they were like, oh, well, you know, while the tribunal we're, you know, in the lead up to tribunal, you know, we can't change anything in the EHCP, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, look, once there's evidence, you're supposed to act on the evidence. So, but they are at least paying now for the salt after I kicked up a fuss, because I looked in his EHCP and it says direct salt.
Okay.
And so we managed to arrange private OT in September of last year, August of last year. And then he's had private salt since January. So they eventually started covering that. So anyway, and we've been looking at like all kinds of schools because we have to suggest something for him. And
Is he deregistered currently, or is he on roll somewhere?
the moment a personal budget got agreed, the council wrote to the school and told them to deregister him.
Naughty. Okay. Okay. Not at your request necessarily.
No, not at all. But basically, as a condition of accepting the funding, we had to kind of give up his place.
Okay.
So, which is kind of okay. Like we absolutely do not want him going there ever again, but also it kind of decreases our leverage, I think. I'm not sure exactly.
I mean, it swings and roundabouts, to be honest. Currently, they've got you without a setting named with a personal budget. In essence, you've got IOTAS.
Well,
So
except that they won't change the HCP. I
that was
asked
going
them,
to be my next thing. Go on, sorry.
can you just set section I to blank? If we're doing this, it would make sense to. And they're like, no, not while there's a tribunal.
The judge will throw the book at them. What date is your tribunal?
It's the 7th of December.
Are you past final evidence deadline?
Yeah.
Okay. And are they engaging with you in the working document process currently?
I haven't got anything from them yet, but it's only just closed, so I assume we'll get something soon. Like, we got the pack of documents from them, and we sent them our documents.
Okay. Have you had a response to your appeal? Like, have they done their LA response to your?
Oh yeah, like they basically said, oh yeah, mainstream's good enough for him. Mainstream with the 1-to-1's fine. Even though like everyone we've approached has said no. Even like the private specialist places that we went to, and we were like, here is the information about our son. They were like, we don't even want to see him, basically. Like, we know we can't.
And did you submit all of that as evidence?
No, should I have done that?
Have you got a paper trail for communication with those individuals?
I wrote them an email saying we have approached many schools, none of which, except for one private independent school, like a specialist school, said that they would see him. So we brought him in, they assessed him, and they said, he's obviously been through some trauma and is in a bad state. If things change dramatically, such that he's able to participate in a small group learning, and if sorry for the banging. Okay. I can't control it. So if he could do small group learning, and if a place were to come available, then we would get in contact with you to let you know. As you know, we've got a wait list. So it's like maybe in a few years we might manage. Like,
so one thing I would perhaps suggest that you do as an extra, because what it's going to come down to at tribunal, there are two things. Remind me to talk about working document in a minute, but what it's going to come down to in tribunal is that it sounds like the LA are going to say he needs mainstream with support. So I would be minded to submit some late evidence, either in the form of a position statement or just in a small bundle of evidence. Don't go mad, but write a document that basically says, just with regards to section I, this is the work that we as a family have done to consider potential settings. These are all the settings we've had contact with, and this is the outcome of the conversations, and here's the paperwork that just supports that. So it could be copies of the emails, and it doesn't have to be the whole thread. It can be like the last email from the individual setting that says, yeah, no, that won't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just say, for brevity and ease of reference, I'm attaching the most recent correspondence from these settings and what it was, and just list all the settings that you've had either informal or written communication with and what the outcome of those communications were. Do you know which school the local authority are going to try and name? Is it his original school?
I do know which school, sorry.
Go ahead. It's not his original setting.
No. So, okay. So if they have to concede, so actually they did continue to name his original setting, the one that we raised the safeguarding complaint against.
Where they off-rolled him.
That's still on his EHCP, even though he's been off-rolled.
Okay.
But I know that if they concede and they say that he can have a specialist's placement, that I know exactly which school they're going to suggest, because there's literally only one specialist school in our borough that he could go to. And that school we've already consulted with, and they already said they don't have a place. But I know another parent who has a little boy who's, I think, 7, going on 8, but who, she had a tribunal coming up in the springtime, and she actually wanted that school, and they had said no. And before so right after the paperwork was submitted, before it came through, like before it was getting up to the tribunal time, she got a message from the school saying, we should meet with each other, we should talk, and like she hadn't contacted them at all. And it turns out that the school and the local authority had already reached an arrangement months earlier that her child was going to be in this new class that they were going to open up, and hadn't said anything to her because like they couldn't, kind of, I don't know, commit to it until they actually opened the class or whatever, but like they just left her preparing everything for the tribunal, and like, single mom, one, really high support needs kid, and like I anyway, so she's furious. She's furious, but she's also delighted because like she really wanted that school.
Not a
But
great start though, is it, to be going in without that clear communication?
and with like there's a back channel with that school, like, and the local authority. So she said that they were opening a brand new class, my son's age group, 6 kids, and I don't know if that class has 6 children right now. I need to double check with her, but like we were both kind of like, interesting. I wonder if they're intending to put them in the same class. It's a classroom with no outdoor space as well.
Okay.
Which is not
The
going to work.
local authority should have, by final evidence deadline, provided you and the tribunal with, this is the school we're proposing, this is the setting we're proposing, here's our consultation with them, here's the letter from the head teacher that states that that they have a place. Have they not done that?
I don't recall seeing that. I did see their justification for why a mainstream was appropriate. So I'll check which setting they've named.
What setting they've named, and they should have, like I say, the detail of that. Let me just find it for you. 1 second. Might not be able to put my hands on it straight away. 1 second. Setting. Healing. There we go. Because on paper, basically you are appealing section I, aren't you? And you're appealing the name they currently have named, setting they currently have named in section I.
I mean, I've said BF and I.
Yeah.
Because
yeah. But for that
yeah.
particular part, yeah. Can you see that link I've just sent you? Can you copy that out of the chat? Because that is a document that will help you with specifically the section I. I know you're doing B and F as well, but it will help you with
thanks,
with what the LA is supposed to do. And it's a good read. And it says put section B and F in your appeal as well. But it says in here, does it have in here about what the LA have to do? Some of it will be repeat because it's going back to as if you're the beginning of the process. Just looking. You attend the webinar last night?
Oh no, I missed it. Sorry.
Okay. You've got an active Marble Run membership, have you?
I never activated it. I was in the Unstoppables, but I didn't figure out how to How do
Okay.
I activate it?
I think you should, if you've never activated, you should still be able to use the code.
Okay.
Let me
I'll look in my email.
have a look in your emails.
Yeah.
And if you can't, send an email to Jodie,
Okay.
just the hello at, and just say, I was in Unstoppables. I never activated my marble run. Heidi said I can. Can you tell me how to do it?
Okay.
Use the password sausage, and then she'll know that we've spoken.
Okay.
But then you'll have marble run access. And in there, you'll have last night's webinar, which is an appeals webinar. And attached to that, there are documents around preparing your tribunal bundle, what to look for, deadlines, all of that kind of stuff. So it will be worth a look if you have the capacity to look at it. Or even the attachments you might find helpful. But I'm thinking what you need to work out is who they're intending to name so that you can make a case against it, basically. So you've got the bit about all the conversations you've had with the individual settings, and consider submitting some late evidence around that if you need to, if you feel you need to. Who are they bringing as witnesses? Do you know that? Have they submitted their attendance form?
I feel like maybe an EP. I don't know where oh, here, maybe it's over here. Sorry, one sec.
Okay.
This is the
Oh, joy.
yeah, right.
So it will be, let me see, send tribunal. Let's have a look. It will probably be bundle sections. Give me 1 second. I'll find out which section it will be. I don't remember. This document is definitely attached to last night's webinar. Bundle guidance. So section A.
Oh, they are still naming his old school.
They are. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I thought so, but I couldn't remember.
So section A will be all of your original paperwork, which will include the LA response to the appeal.
Yeah.
So you need to have a look at that.
Yeah.
And then section D will be any additional evidence submitted since then. That should have a copy of the school's prospectus, Ofsted report, correspondence of them offering a place or confirming a place.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the only witness they've actually named is a representative from that school. I hope it's not the guy that we basically said to the safeguarding people, because the Senko is one of the people who was seen dragging him.
Okay. Does it not name them? Does it just
Doesn't
say
name them, it just says representative.
Okay. I know I'm giving you a lot to do, but put an email into Sendist and tell them that you note that it doesn't name the individual who will be attending to represent the school, and that given that there has been serious safeguarding breach at the school, you need to know who the individual will be. Ask them to issue an order to request that the local authority confirm who it will be attending from that school. Because if it is someone who you've raised a formal complaint against, or who is involved in that, you want to say that's not appropriate. They'll have to send someone else.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Senko, but
what was the outcome of the safeguarding trigger that you like? Was there a...
So the school basically talked to their own people and said everything's fine, and I didn't have the energy to fight them further, but I did put a call into MASH here in our local authority and say, hello, they've done their investigation and I don't think it's good enough. I mean, I can continue to take it up with them, but I thought maybe you're interested in looking into it. And so then they had a social worker talk to me and a social worker come visit. And then eventually it turned into basically, because he can't talk and he can't say what exactly happened. The one-to-one retracted what she had said. She said, "Oh, I never said that." you know, that kind of thing, it just sort of, they were like, we don't think there's an action to take here.
Okay. Did the EP see him before or after that incident?
The EP saw, so the so it was kind of over a period of time that things got worse and worse and worse over a very short period of time. The EP saw him during that time.
Okay. And did the EP reference it at all in their report or their assessment?
No, because their report came out before the, but if anything, it should show that like he was less capable then than he is now.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to think about what evidence you might need. And not at any time am I suggesting that I doubt anything you're saying, to be absolutely clear.
Mm-hmm.
And tribunal is an evidence-based hearing.
Yeah.
So, and parental evidence does have weight, and you just want to make sure that you're waterproofing it as much as possible. So I think the first step is to ask them to confirm who is attending on behalf of the school.
Yeah.
And then perhaps pop me a message and say that this is what I've found out, and we can work out what the next step is from there. Because if it is someone who was involved, and it sounds like it might be, but we'll see. Let's try not to get ahead of ourselves. You might need to think about submitting some evidence around why that would not be appropriate.
Yeah.
And I also think that there's something about that you don't necessarily need to submit evidence as such, but look in section D.
Mm-hmm.
You can maybe look now and just see whether there's a copy of a consultation from the school with them stating that there is a place for him, and basically a consultation offering him a place, because there should be. And if there isn't, they've not followed what they should have done.
His individual education plan, which, to be fair, I wrote most of, from 2020 to 2021. I'm sorry, one second. Somebody is really buzzing. Sorry about that. Okay. I don't see a consultation with Abacus. I think because he was at that school already, they've just,
Yeah, but there should still be, like, the requirement is that section D should include copies of the school or college prospectus and Ofsted reports, correspondence consulting with the school or college and other LA if applicable, a cost of the proposed educational placement, including transport costs, and a cost of the transport to the parent or young person's preferred educational placement. So they need to basically say, this school they've got to provide in the bundle, this school have got a place for him. They've confirmed they've got a place for him. They've confirmed that they can meet his EHCP.
So there's provision costs. This is because I went after them about how they were saying that they couldn't afford him, or like that it wasn't fair on the other children, how much he was using up of the SEND budget.
Okay.
And I asked for a provision map, but this was back when we were going through the safeguarding thing. So I've got, so that is in section C.
Okay.
Actually.
So section C is
parental evidence.
Your documentary evidence. Did you submit that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, we've sent the council before, like, a copy of, well, like, because we were dealing with them about safeguarding and we wanted them to know what had been said. And also, I think Abacus included it They included it in the EHCP docs, which was really weird.
Well, it shouldn't be in section C then. It's not your evidence. No, you didn't submit it
Not
to
that
the
I'm aware
tribunal.
of, no. I think I would, no, I
Okay,
didn't.
well then it's not in the right section. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any discussion with Abacus about whether they can manage him in
Okay,
here.
let's just prioritize this
Okay.
for the minute, and then let's work out whether your bundle is accurate. So, because I think this is really important, because you're quite close to your tribunal date, and we don't want to miss the boat on it a little bit, and it's just a little bit of admin. So, part A of your bundle
Yeah.
should have your original appeal form and your reasons for appeal. Can you see that? Do you know where you're looking?
Oh, that is,
Have you got the bundle? Have you actually
yeah,
got a copy of the
I've
bundle?
got that one. We'd submitted our evidence after we got this off them. So actually, like, nothing that's mentioned in here is anything that we had sent. Yeah, so I've got the tribunal registration letter and our grounds of appeal and our
Okay.
application. Yeah.
Has it got the local authority's response to that appeal?
Yes.
Okay. Has it got, have there been any tribunal orders or any requests for change made in the meantime?
One request for change, which was, so essentially there's another local authority school that is literally across the road from our local authority that used to be between our local authority and the other local authority, but now it's owned by the other local authority, and basically we think that that school is going to be a better fit for him. Uh so I asked them to consult with the school at the beginning of August, and the school still hadn't responded come like September, and it just kept kind of dragging on, and so we asked for everything to get shifted so that we could wait for the response. So we've got the response now.
Okay, so that's in there. Okay.
So those
And
are
the attendance forms should be in part A as well. So who's coming with
yeah,
those parties? Okay.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Right. And is it and you're happy that your attendance form is accurate? Have you got anyone, remind me, have you got anyone going with you? You've got a representative, is that right?
We've got a representative. Let me just double check. Attendance form 2. So all of our witnesses are listed as TBC
Okay.
at the moment, but basically we paid for private assessments.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at least one of the people who has assessed him can go in person
Okay.
if they have to.
Okay. Again, remind me what date's your tribunal, sorry.
The 7th of December.
Just make it, I'm putting some things on an email for you. So just so I can just send you some bits. Okay. So one of the things you're going to need to do at some point is work out who you're taking.
Yeah.
And submit your attendance form, your updated attendance form, and also query, submit yours and query LA witnesses.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first thing. All right, Brill, we're cooking with gas. Section C, sorry, section B should be the original EHCP.
Yep.
With all of your documents from section K. Does that look right to you?
Yeah, it's the everything from the EHCP, and it's the annual review forms.
Brilliant. Okay. Part C should be any documents that you have submitted, including your reports. So your private report should be in there. Your annual reviews should be in there. They shouldn't be in section B. They should be in section C. Part B, part C.
Yeah, there's one annual review form in section C.
Okay, is it the most
There's
recent
like the
one?
accompanying documents that went with that annual review in section C.
Okay,
Like, I think that they've kind of taken things that we've used in correspondence and submitted them on our behalf, like
yeah, it sounds like it.
authority.
Okay. Is there anything in there that you are unhappy with in terms of you don't feel it's relevant or you don't think it should have been submitted as your evidence?
Well, there's one really weird thing actually that jumped out at me. So we had a GP letter back in May, and then we had another one in August. And basically, so what had happened is the GP had written a letter and gave it to me, and then I was like, this isn't good enough. Like, I need you to be tighter on your wording of what you're saying he can and can't do right now. And the letter that they have here, um it so is the first letter, not the second one.
Okay. And they haven't got the second one in there.
No.
Okay.
Which basically the first one was all about aotas, which, like, I had discussed with the doctor, saying essentially this is what we're doing, and I think we're trying to get this formalized, because he's not going to be able to go back to that place. But it is just really strange because we never sent that letter, and the GP didn't have a particular person that they were sending it to, so I don't know how they got it.
And they've included it in your evidence.
Yeah.
Fishy. Okay.
That one's weird.
Are you happy that it's included in your evidence?
I find it really strange. Because basically, so what had happened was the GP had started sort of like been I don't know, giving their opinion about, whether he should have aortas, and it's like, oh well, that's not quite what we need. We just need you to say, if you feel it in your professional opinion that he isn't capable of going to a school building right now, like mainstream where he's been. And then we got another letter, and that letter is not in there.
Okay.
It's like
So,
they took the one that made the GP look silly.
okay. Yeah. So I would be tempted, since you haven't submitted it,
Yeah.
to ask them to remove it.
Okay.
And to replace it with the second GP
Replace it
letter,
with the letter we actually sent.
to be the one that you actually sent. So what I would suggest that you do, I'm making a note to say that you didn't ever submit that GP letter, and actually you asked for a second letter that superseded that letter.
Yeah.
You're submitting the second letter as supplementary evidence, and you're requesting that the primary GP letter be removed from your evidence bundle because you didn't submit it.
Yeah.
And you don't know how they got it.
Yep.
Okay. Does that make sense? I'm going to put it on an email for you anyway.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Assessment. Are your private reports in section C?
Not in this bundle that they sent us, but they're in the other bundle. Because we sent them a bundle as well. Like, we traded bundles. And we were allowed to get it a little bit later because of the consultation thing.
So they haven't issued a final tribunal ready bundle.
I guess there's not a final one then, maybe. I don't know. This is the one that the council put together, but then, like, we did this one, which has our 3 people who had assessed him. Yeah, they're all in here.
Is that the one you sent to them, or is that the one they sent to you?
This is the one we sent to them.
Okay, and was that before they sent you that other one?
So they sent the big fat one, and then we sent the little one back,
Okay.
basically.
Was that after final evidence deadline?
Yes, but we had permission, like the evidence deadline got moved.
Okay. So you need a new bundle, an updated, complete bundle. Okay.
Yeah.
1 second. And the LA should issue that. That's not your job.
Okay.
2nd bundle. So that second bundle that you've got in your hand there, that's what you sent to the LA.
Yeah.
And did you copy in send tribunal when you sent that?
Yeah, it would have gone to them as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all of your evidence, including your private reports.
Yeah, it's all the reports.
Okay. Okay, great. Right. Okay, brilliant. I know this is a bit labor intensive, but it's really important that this is right. Okay, so section D. Section D we've talked about should have a consultation from the school.
Yeah, there's no consultation with Abacus.
Okay.
I mean, maybe because they would have consulted with them back in like 2020 or 2019 or whatever, that like
That
that's
should be included.
good enough. Yeah, it's not in there.
Okay. Are you appealing health and social care or not?
No, just BFI.
Okay. And okay, that's great. And have you got a working document from them?
No, not yet.
Okay, so that's the next thing to ask for. So what's your email address?
Oh, it's I'll put it in the chat. That makes it easier for me.
Yeah, let's do that.
See, where's the chat? It's me. Okay.
Did you used to live in New York?
Yeah, I did for like 2 years.
Nice.
It's great.
So what I'm doing is I'm just sending you a list of bundle prep actions. So it says request a complete bundle to include parental evidence, including your reports, attendance form, submit yours, ask the LA about their witnesses. Okay. Supplementary evidence, ask them to remove the GP letter and include your GP letter.
Yeah.
Request consultation and or offer of advice from Abacus to be submitted and ask for a working document.
Okay. Yeah.
That is going to get you where you need to be to start with the next bit for prepping for tribunal.
Yeah, I imagine the working document's going to take a while to kind of hash out. What I found in the past with like the annual reviews is anything we've ever suggested in terms of like changing wording or whatnot, she kind of like case coordinator kind of rolls her eyes at us and is like, well, you know, I'll put that into the parental views section.
Well, that's not how this works for tribunal, unfortunately. Yeah. There's an expectation from the tribunal that they will engage with you properly in the working document process. So the EHCP, actually, I can actually send you a link because it's on YouTube now. You'll want to access it for all of the documents, but whilst you're trying to find your way to it, I will just send you a link to the recording on YouTube as well. And then you've got it, you know where it is. 1 sec. Because the working document, there is an expectation, well, there's a legal requirement for them to engage with you in that. So if you watch the webinar, it talks you through, skip to the working document section on the webinar if you want to, but it talks you through how that works. But basically, you've not been to tribunal before, have you?
No.
Okay. So basically, it's a Word document that is your EHCP as it is. The first thing you want to do is get all of your private reports populated into that Word document. You use a key. The key for parental additions is bold. It's covered in the webinar, but you bold it. So basically, you go through your reports and you pull out everything that should be in section B, pull it across, drop it into your working document, bold it up as a parental addition, and then the same for section F, because then you throw that at the local authority and they have to go, oh, we're not including this, because they can't say just because it's a private report or just because it's parental submission. The whole point is that you have an assessment and a private report from a professional who has assessed him and made these recommendations.
And they haven't bothered to send anybody to assess him.
Of course not. So they don't have anyone to argue against that.
No.
And there's no way that they can make a case for that. So all of that should be in your EHCP. And the way to do that is to do that through the working document process. There is an expectation now that you have your bundle, and now that the LA are, in theory, working out what they're doing, that there should be consultation on the working document. So what I'd recommend that you do, given that you're so close, is that you ask them for the Word version of the working document. Like, send them an email today. You don't have to do it in with the other stuff. Send them an email today and say, I need it, and I need it by the end of the week. And then spend the weekend and the early part of next week populating it, and then send it back to them and say, I expect your responses to this within 5 days. So that you can show that you've engaged in the process, because there is a danger that they'll go, oh, we've not had time, we're going to have to ask for an adjournment. Get ahead of them on that. Don't let them kick it in the long grass. Which LA is it?
Camden.
Oh, fun. Okay. Not the worst, but certainly not the best. Okay.
They have more money than some of the other local authorities, so that's something. Like, they can afford to actually support him properly.
And what do you actually want for him? I mean, obviously you want a plan that's going to work, but what do you want for him in the coming 6-12 months?
So it's interesting. What I was actually hoping was that we were going to ask for AOTUS, but then, like, when we got in the educational psychologist, she said, well, we can put AOTUS down, but if you want him to get into a placement soon, you're going to have to go through all of this again, essentially. She was like, if you don't want to have to go back to tribunal for a while, you're better off getting him into a placement with the right support in the placement. If you do AOTUS and then say at the next annual review, you say, well, okay, now we want him in a specialist placement, you don't have the same kind of rights that you would have at tribunal.
That's not true.
So, like,
I can see where they're coming from, because they're saying that. But to be fair, no LA are going to say, oh no, you can't have specialists, you've got to continue with the OTAS. That's not going to be. They'd much rather have you in a setting, even if it is a specialist. But I can see where they're coming from. But yeah, not strictly true. But go ahead. What else were you going to say then?
So essentially, also, like, his one-to-one, I feel like at a certain point she wants to back out. Like, her partner has moved to a different part of the country, and I don't know how much longer she'll stick around for, and we'll be in a really bad spot if she leaves.
Okay.
And I feel like she's willing to stick around until he gets into a placement. It took us months to find her, like, intensive searching, interviewing, etc. So we kind of felt like we don't have a lot of choice.
And the school that's across the border is the school that would be your preferred choice?
Yeah, because basically when we went to the school that it would be the council's preferred choice, Swiss, the person who was there was the way in which she was talking about things, it sounded very behaviorist, and we are absolute no on behaviorism in our parenting and in how people interact with him. It does not get a good result. He is not happy.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It does not do what they think it will do for them.
No.
So basically, like, there was a soft play that they were saying that they would withhold from them unless they did their work. And there was also an area where she was like, oh, the children are having snack now. They have to ask for their snack before they can have it. I was like, well, what if they're not feeling very well? And, they still get to have their snack? She's like, well, they need to try. Hmm,
God.
okay. And so this other school, when we visited, like, on their therapist office was like a flyer about like neurodiversity celebration week and a couple of things that were sort of showing them to be neurodiversity affirming. Also, the kids were way more chill at the other school. Like, we didn't see any meltdowns there. We saw a few meltdowns at the other one, but like, you never know, like, meltdowns happen when they happen, but like, the kids just seemed happier.
Yeah.
And they also have a forest school area,
Yeah.
and they do forest school with the children at least once a week.
Okay. So what's it called, that school?
The bridge.
The Bridge. And Swiss is the one that you think that they might.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the mainstream called?
Abacus.
Okay. I'm just making some notes for you. And then we'll go through it. I'll tell you what I'm writing down before I forget. And have they consulted with Swiss?
Yeah, they did, and Swiss said, "No, we're full." But, like, they do that. They did that with the other family as well.
Have you got a copy of that consultation?
Yeah,
Is it in the bundle?
yeah,
Okay.
and same for the bridge.
And they said the same?
Yeah, the bridge also said that they can't, well, actually, the bridge isn't yet in this bundle because they hadn't sent it yet. That's why the evidence deadline got moved, but, we have their consultation now, and that's been submitted.
And they say that they're full as well?
Yeah.
So there isn't a setting for him? Okay.
And the thing is that what we're doing right now is really working for him. So I said to the lawyer person who was going to be at the hearing with us, I was like, I would really like him to be able to continue at forest school like once a week, once he moves into whichever new setting, like a really gradual start, and to continue with forest school. And he was like, well, the professional reports don't prove that he needs a day of forest school a week.
Okay.
I'm asking for it, but like,
What's your relationship like? Are you still having conversations with your SALT and your OT? Did you have SALT and OT independent reports, did you say?
yeah.
Okay. And are they still involved? Are they working with the SALT is, right?
No, so the SALT that works with him and the OT that work with him, they both refuse to do tribunal reports. So we had to go get somebody who was willing to do it.
Okay.
Which isn't great.
Okay. But do you have independent SALT and OT that recommends the provision that you're getting? Basically, is that the deal? Recommends the SALT and OT that you like, describes the SALT and OT provision that you'll be working with.
So the people who are working with him on a daily basis, we haven't got anything in writing saying he has to have outdoor time or whatever. And basically, when I asked the OT who had assessed him for tribunal, in your professional opinion, she was like, I don't think in my professional opinion I can say that he needs it.
Okay.
Which isn't not great. They're probably gonna say no.
Can we evidence that it's working for him?
Absolutely.
Okay. How can we evidence that is the next question.
I mean, talking with the speech and language person and the OT that are working with him on a weekly basis, like, it's been a dramatic change.
So although they're not willing to write tribunal reports, are they willing to attend as witnesses or not?
No, I don't think they. But
Would
they
they?
might be willing to write, like I've asked them before to write like a summary of how things are going
Yeah,
and like
I
his
think that's what
progress.
you need.
Yeah.
So, I have a template you can use, which is like a current provider template, which says, this is how I work with him. This is what works for him. This is how I adapt my approach for him. These are the things that we're working on, and this is the progress I've seen. That's not unreasonable to request that of someone that's working with him right now.
Yeah.
And it's good evidence. And they don't necessarily have to be in attendance at tribunal. And if the judge asks you why they're not, you can say we couldn't afford it. So, and that's, again, that's, you don't have to say they don't want to be here. I mean, you can say they don't want to be here.
They don't do tribunals. Like
Yeah.
nobody in that clinic is willing to be involved with that process.
And who can blame them, frankly?
Yeah,
they're therapists. They're not, they don't, yeah. A lot of professionals don't. So, so current provider statement. Because I think what you're actually looking for right now is for, obviously, to have all of his plans reflected fully in his EHCP, which it sounds to me like would rule out a mainstream, from what you've said.
Absolutely.
And then you're making a case for, so really, we're thinking specialist, but there isn't a specialist. And so these are the specialists that there are, and here's the evidence that they're not appropriate. So what we're asking for is EOTAS, because there isn't a setting for him. He can't be in mainstream. And here's the evidence of what's working right now. And this is what I'm asking for. And use the provider statements as evidence for what is going to work for him whilst you try to establish whether there might be a setting for him or not. But there's currently no setting, and there isn't an offer from a setting on the table. So it is
except for the mainstream one, which is ludicrous. Yeah.
And if they're attending tribunal, that's about being ready to dig into how are you going to deliver this plan.
Yeah.
There's also something about that might be worth, I'm just going to put a note on here for you. When you're doing if you do a position statement around the settings, so list the schools you've spoken to and include relevant brief evidence, as we've already mentioned, and then just break out like the stuff around abacus. Now, what I would say for abacus is that the main point there is that there's a breakdown in relationship between you and the school. There's no trust. You can't work with them. You've raised a safeguarding concern. Your child will not attend, and you will not force him. So if they name that setting, you can guarantee that he will not be able to attend. And for that reason, it's not appropriate. It's against parental wishes. It's against our consent. You can even speak to your representative, but you could even go as far as to say that if the judge does decide to name that, you will progress to upper tier tribunal, because it's not a work for him. It's never going to work. And for no other reason than that there's no relationship of trust with you and the school at all. Detail about Swiss, it being a non-neurodivergent friendly approach. Swiss I'm guessing, is a local authority school, yes?
Yeah, so is the Bridge.
Okay. So what I would be saying is that I do a little bit of digging behind the scenes and look at, for example, what their behaviour policy is. If they've got a behaviour policy that says something like there'll be a contract between parents and school around behaviour, you say we wouldn't sign it. If that's a requirement for admission to that school, we would not sign that document, so he can't attend there.
The thing is, I'm not sure that the Bridge is much better. They're just a bit better. And to be honest, I think they both have positive behavior support on their website.
Almost certainly.
Horrible.
Almost certainly.
It's awful.
And then what you're doing is evidencing what you actually need, or you actually want, which is get a current provider statement from the Forest School, the SLT and the SALT, and say, this is what I want in section F. And until the next annual review, this is what his provision should look like. I'm just going to find you the
oh, I think we've gone over.
Don't
Sorry.
worry. It's okay. I'm okay if you're okay, if we get through this a little bit. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Bless you. I know it's a lot.
It's helpful. You're
Good.
very organized.
I'm only in the moment. Like, the reason I'm sending it to you now is because if I don't do it, I've got people waiting from calls from Friday whose emails I haven't sent to them. So don't be misled. It's a moment of executive function. Ride it out, make the best of it. So that should, yeah, well done. You dropped in the right part of my window of tolerance. Congratulations. I'd love to know how that happened.
I'm just lucky.
I know we haven't dug into the other stuff that you were going to talk about today,
okay.
and we do have time for in another call to do that. But I hope this is like going to get you. It's quite a piece of work it's giving you stuff to do, but I think it's really important that we use this opportunity to get you ready for tribunal.
Yeah, because I think it had become like one big task rather than like breaking it down into like the next actions that need to be done. Like that's
and although it's admin heavy and it's resource heavy, it's a step-by-step, do this, get this, get that, get this, get that. Do you know what I mean? So it's not very ADHD friendly for sure, but it's a little bit, you might have to gamify it to get through it, or delegate, or whatever you need to do. But none of it should be too mentally taxing. It might be emotionally taxing. Mm-hmm. But I think once you've followed those steps, and message me if any of it is like, you don't remember what I said, or it doesn't make sense, message me. But none of those steps should run you too much down a rabbit hole if you follow them as we've detailed them. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
You're welcome. When are we next speaking?
On Friday, I think.
Nice. Okay, well, you've got some work to do. You don't have to have done all of this. You don't have to have done all this by Friday, by the way. We can talk about the other stuff that is maybe not as admin heavy on Friday.
But also that this is the most urgent. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like eat that frog thing, isn't it? Are you familiar with that analogy? Like, if you've got a load of frogs to eat, you eat the ugliest one first. Mm-hmm. So eat that frog. Okay, well, we'll meet again on Friday. I've sent you an email. If you can't access any of the things, if you can't find your way into the marble run, give us a shout back.
Okay, thank you so much, Heidi. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I will see you on Friday.
Okay,
thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye.